Underwater. This ungainly creature has a sixth sense that is hard to beat. Australia's platypus has the tail of a beaver, webbed feet, and a bill like a duck.
The duck-billed platypus looks like an impossible compendium of different zoological types. From the time Dawson sent his controversial sample to the British Natural History Museum, there were constant scientific discussions lasting for over 100 years until finally two zoologists demonstrated irrefutably that they were indeed mammals and reproduced by laying eggs. Although they are small in size, the duck-billed platypuses would seem to have an insatiable appetite. This one has found a river crab. Crustaceans, mollusks, annelids, and even amphibians form part of their extremely varied diet, and their peculiar morphology means they are able to hunt their prey even in muddy waters. Using its webbed feet and broad muscular tail to propel itself along, the archaic platypus searches the river bottom. The sensors on its beak detect the slightest movement or change in temperature. Any animal crawling or swimming along the riverbed is rapidly located and, if it is of any interest, devoured. In the rivers of Australia, the platypus is so...
The kangaroo, one of Australia's most recognizable marsupials. There are a handful of species found all over the country, from the Antilopean kangaroo in the far northern reaches to the aptly named eastern grey. The only large animal to hop as a primary means of travel, many can cover 25 feet, almost 8 meters, in a single bound, while reaching sprinting speeds as high as 35 miles or 56 kilometers per hour. Their genus name of Macropus literally means Bigfoot. With some standing over 6 feet or 2 meters tall, they have the height to match. Kangaroos are social animals that forage together in a group called a troop, herd, or mob. As herbivores, they eat a variety of plants and grasses. Kangaroos graze similar to cows and goats, with the same cud-chewing abilities. Recently swallowed food can be regurgitated and chewed again before final digestion. As they forage along, their tail acts as a kind of fifth leg, helping to push off from the ground. One of their most apparent features, however, is the female pouch. Here, the offspring, called joeys, spend their time until mature enough to emerge, anywhere from 4 to 13 months, depending on the species. Before hitting the pouch, the tiny, barely inch-long newborn needs to find its way there. Blind and with the use of its forelimbs only, it instinctively crawls through its mother's thick fur. Once inside the pouch, the newborn begins to nurse. When it eventually leaves the pouch, it can continue to suckle from its mother for up to a year or more. Amazingly, female kangaroos can be perpetually pregnant.
A male stays close to her side to try and ensure that he and no other male mates with her. The most dominant male is likely to be the one to father most of the next generation, and that is something worth fighting for. Joeys also fight, but it's just play boxing, a way of learning skills that will be important in later life. But it's not always a fair fight. Fortunately, this little one still has mother to see off the neighborhood bull.
Hunters of the night. They awake as the sun goes down and fly through the darkness in search of prey. No, we're not talking about vampires. We're talking about bats. Bats are nocturnal, which means they are active at night. There are more than 1,100 species of bats, making them the second most common group of mammals on the planet. About 1 species of mammal in every 5 in the whole world is a bat. Bats live almost everywhere, except the Arctic, Antarctic, and a few isolated islands. They usually roost in caves, old buildings, or trees, although they may also be found on the underside of bridges. Bats are mammals, which means they are warm-blooded, they have fur, and they feed their babies milk. Unlike any other kind of mammal, however, bats can fly. Bat wings and bird wings are different. Bird wings are like arms, with feathers growing out of them to provide lift and allow flight. Bat wings are like hands with very long fingers. Thin, leathery skin stretched between the fingers is what makes the surface of the wings. Because bats have more movement in their wings than birds do, they can change direction faster than birds can, which makes it easier to catch their food. Most bats eat insects. About 70% of all bats are insectivores. Many of the rest eat fruit or nectar. Only 3 species drink blood. Bats that eat fruit or nectar. Because of this, most megabats do not use echolocation, and so have much smaller ears compared to their heads than microbats do. Megabats also have a much stronger sense of smell than microbats. Drink blood are called vampire bats, but there's no reason to fear these small creatures. Native to Mexico and South America, 2 of the vampire bat species prefer to drink blood from birds, and the third prefers blood from cattle. Although they may sometimes drink human blood, people and animals bitten by vampire bats won't turn into vampires. The sound waves travel away from the bat. If they hit something, they will echo or bounce back. From the shape of the echo, the bats know what is in front of them. This is why bats don't crash into things in the dark.
Animals to have ever existed. As long as about 3 school buses and as heavy as 15, blue whales even outsize the dinosaurs. The whale's marine habitat contributes to their exceptional size. The ocean provides more room to grow and eliminates one of the factors that usually hinder animal size. Blue whales have one of the loudest calls in the animal kingdom. Measuring up to 188 decibels, their song can be loud enough to overpower the sounds of jackhammers and jet engines. The whales use their powerful songs to communicate with each other, oftentimes from long distances. These vocalizations, which are deep moans and rhythmic low-frequency pulses, have been recorded from over 500 miles away. The average lifespan of a blue whale is about 80 to 90 years, but the oldest one found, based on its waxy earplug count, was about 110 years old. Blue whales can eat 4 tons of food a day. That's more than an African elephant weighs. Despite the whale's enormous size, their diet primarily consists of tiny crustaceans called krill. The whales use their pouch-like lower jaws to scoop up swarms of thousands of krill floating in the water. The whales then push the water out of their mouths and through baleen bristles lining their upper jaws. The bristles are thin enough to let water through, but thick enough to catch krill. Because of the high commercial value of baleen and other whale body parts, blue whales were nearly exterminated. Today, thankfully, global bans on whaling were put in place, allowing the species to slowly rebound. If there's one animal that lives up to the saying, "You are what you eat," it's probably the giant panda. Nearly every aspect of a panda's life revolves around bamboo. Giant pandas eat, and eat, and eat. Pandas can spend more than half of each day eating. To understand why pandas eat so much, you need to look more closely at what they eat. Bamboo, a giant woody grass, is a very poor nutritional source, low in protein and high in fiber that pandas can't digest well. Yet, bamboo comprises 99% of a panda's diet. To compensate, pandas need to eat 20 to 40 pounds a day. Pandas have quite a bit in common with carnivores. A panda's digestive system is more closely related to that of a carnivore than an herbivore, which explains why they don't digest plants very well. Fortunately, they have other adaptations that help them chow down on bamboo stalks, including large, powerful jaws. When they're not eating, pandas rest, and rest, and poop, and poop. Since they don't digest bamboo very well, pandas end up passing a lot of it as waste, which unsurprisingly contains a lot of undigested bamboo bits. Pandas defecate more than 100 times a day, producing more than 40 pounds of waste. Pandas even go number 2 while they're napping. And they spend a lot of time napping as a way to compensate for their low energy diet. Pandas have tiny cubs because of their poor diet. Baby giant pandas are born blind, helpless, and tiny, weighing just 5 ounces, or about 1/1000th the size of their mom. Of all placental mammals, panda cubs are the tiniest in comparison to their mother. Why so small? The mother's diet plays a role. Due to her low metabolism, a panda mother has a relatively low blood oxygen level, so the cub can get more oxygen outside the womb. Pandas' black and white fur may help them camouflage. Once again, we can look at a panda's diet to help understand why its fur is the color it is. Pandas don't store enough fat to hibernate like other bears, so they have to keep eating bamboo all year round. And since they're always roaming in search of bamboo, pandas are unable to shed their fur quickly enough to match their background like other animals can. So their black and white pattern may be sort of a compromise. White fur allows them to blend into snowy backgrounds. Black fur allows them to blend into shady forest backgrounds. Historically, pandas inhabited a much wider range than they do today and faced multiple predators. So at the time, they may have relied more on their camouflage ability. Today, pandas are not at as high a risk from predators, but rather from a loss of bamboo. The good news is that the giant panda's conservation status was recently upgraded from endangered to vulnerable. An estimated 1,850 pandas remain in the wild in China, an increase of 17% over the past decade. However, pandas still face significant threats tied closely to their food source. Human development has driven pandas into isolated, fragmented mountain regions, restricting their access to bamboo. Additionally, climate change threatens to eliminate more than 1/3 of the bamboo habitat that pandas rely on by the end of the century. With their towering height and signature long necks, giraffes are some of the most iconic creatures of Africa. Giraffes are the tallest living land animals. Adult females can grow over 14 feet tall, and adult males can reach over 18 feet. Baby giraffes, called calves, are born 6 feet tall and may grow an additional inch every day during their first week. This exceptional height allows giraffes to eat leaves and buds from treetops, unreachable by other animals, and to look out for predators and other oncoming dangers. Giraffes have exceptionally strong hearts. Their hearts are about 2 feet long and weigh approximately 25 pounds. That's equal to about 50 human hearts. Because of the great distance between a giraffe's heart and its brain, due to the animal's long neck, its heart has evolved thick, muscular walls. Thanks to these powerful walls, a giraffe's blood pressure can be 2 times higher than many other animals. This helps the giraffe's heart defy gravity and push blood up its long neck and into its brain. Giraffes have the same number of neck bones as humans. Both humans and giraffes only have 7 bones in their necks. However, human neck bones are only half an inch tall, while giraffe bones are 10 inches tall. This means giraffe necks can grow to be about 6 feet long and weigh 600 pounds. Male giraffes' necks may also be used in fights over females and to establish a hierarchy within the herd. Giraffes are capable of sleeping only 5 minutes a day. Giraffes can survive on 5 to 30 minutes of sleep each day, which they get through a series of 1 to 2 minute naps. They can even get their rest while standing. Giraffes sleep this way out of necessity. They devote 16 to 20 hours each day to eating, which leaves little time for much else. Plus, sleeping, especially while lying down, exposes giraffes to predators. Giraffe populations are vulnerable. Found only in sub-Saharan Africa, giraffe populations plummeted up to about 40% between 1985 and 2015. The animals are killed for their coats or meat, especially in poor countries like South Sudan. But they are also hunted specifically for their tails, which are considered status symbols in some Congolese communities. No other creature on the planet is quite like the giraffe. Their height and long necks, powerful hearts, and staccato sleeping style easily make the creatures unique. Cheetahs. You probably already know they're the world's fastest land animal. They can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, covering the length of an Asian elephant with each stride. But here are 5 things you probably didn't know about cheetahs. Cheetahs are one of the few big cats that can't roar. Instead, these carnivores purr, much like a house cat. Also, they chirp loudly enough to be heard a mile away. These chirps vary from cheetah to cheetah. One theory is that this may allow them to identify each other. Cheetahs are the only big cat that can't fully retract their claws. Acinonyx jubatus is the cheetah's scientific name. Acinonyx means no-move claw in Greek. Their claws are actually more similar to a dog's than to those of other cats, helping cheetahs maintain traction and gain speed while running. Their muscular tail, which can be over 2.5 feet long, helps cheetahs when they're hunting prey. The tail acts like a rudder, allowing cheetahs to quickly change direction while running. It provides counterbalance as they zigzag across grasslands during a chase. Unlike other big cats, cheetahs hunt primarily by day, relying on their exceptionally keen eyesight. Dark tear marks below cheetahs' eyes may help reduce glare from the sun, much like the eye black that some professional athletes wear. Without the cover of darkness, cheetahs camouflage themselves in the tall grass of the savanna, typically getting as close as a football field's width away from their prey before making the chase. While most cheetahs live in Africa, a subspecies of the big cat lives in central Iran. These Asiatic cheetahs are genetically distinct from their African counterparts. Unfortunately, they're critically endangered with only an estimated 50 individuals remaining. The cheetah population has declined from an estimated 100,000 in the early 1900s to around 7,000 today, according to recent estimates. Cheetahs are under threat from humans. Poaching, habitat loss, and vehicle collisions have contributed to their decline. Plus, humans hunt antelopes, warthogs, and other prey species that cheetahs rely on. These cheetah babies are over a year old. While still adorable, they will soon have to fend for themselves. By day, Mom struggles to provide enough food for her cubs and herself, which is no easy task. By night, she has to keep them safe from predators. 70% of cheetah cubs fall victim to larger predators. At last, she scores a kill. The family has to scarf down what it can before other meat eaters arrive. The cubs need to learn how to capture their own prey, which they learn from their mother. They work together to bring down the antelope, showing that they just might be ready to strike off on their own. The mother has raised these cubs well. But soon, she will let them go off into the world on their own.
First thing in the morning, the chimps feed in the treetops. They're gluttons when it comes to figs. They spend several hours eating them, causing the fruit to rain down in the dark interior of the rainforest. A male has been lucky enough to find a honeycomb. He enjoys the delicious, energy-giving honey hidden behind his long hair. It's not long before the chimps begin to descend to the jungle floor. The floor is a place of rest where the group embraces, reinforcing social ties. They also complete their diet here with leaves, fruit, tubers, and small animals. Under the rainforest canopy, a group has come upon some seasonal nuts. Luckily, they've also laid some rocks aside. The intelligence and sociability of the chimps make them quite similar to our species. In various parts of Africa, groups of chimpanzees have been seen crafting and using tools to different ends. They utilize stones to break open fruit, sharpen sticks for hunting small animals, and pick flexible reeds which they moisten with saliva and use to hunt termites. It's their intelligence that makes them the most powerful and fearsome inhabitants of the jungle.
I found a baby Joey in the fire. Yeah, it's okay. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. It's alright. A little koala rescue. She's a mother with a baby. And cuddling. Just trying to collect as many live ones as we can.